Davis, you can't be sitting directly across from me yawning. I'm hanging on by a thread. I see you yawning.
Where all the important people gonna sit?
It's hard to say.
There, there.
It's hard to say.
I'll stop yawning, I'm sorry.
Because there are more and more, classes every year. I mean, last year was extraordinary. Last year was a great one. A lot of fun people with that one. I couldn't get those. Yeah, it's becoming a bit unwieldy, then. I mean, it's sort of ruined it to split it in half, but, even just reading off all these meetings.
Didn't they do this in April?
But that,
Didn't they used to do it in April?
they did.
So that's when everybody coded.
Yes, that's
Spread
right. That was
the
one of
year.
the super spreaders. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Got me.
I don't remember. I don't think I got it that time.
That time.
Oh, I've had COVID so many times.
I've had every version.
All right, let me call the meeting to order, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me and listen for. I'll leave the microphone to let them know if I do. I don't have my hard copy with me today, but bear with me. I'm trying to work on the next computer. Sorry. Members of the committee are hereby advised of the duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and interference of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter before this committee with respect to the conflict of interest or the appearance thereof. Anyone that needs to know the conflict at this moment. If not, if one should arise, please get my attention. All right, we'll proceed with the agenda. We'll get one or two things out of order, but we'll let you know when that happens. First is the approval of the minutes. We should have had those in your materials. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes or to amend them.
Motion to approve.
Second. And properly, moved in second. Any questions? Any? Also need to approve that was a motion for the council meeting, and now we're going to approve the executive committee meeting on July 18th as well. Those were in your materials also, so I will make a motion to approve the executive meeting from July 2024. So second. So we'll second. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. All right, we'll now hear the report of the Finance and Audit Committee. Finance and Audit Committee, I recognize Chairman Matt Smith for that.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off is the third quarter financial statements. They are posted on SharePoint. Finance and Audit Committee moves to recommend council approval of the third quarter financial statements. As a motion.
That needs no second. Any questions about that? Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Next item, make sure the council must set the amount of the annual membership fees, which are currently $300, we have authority to go up to $325. The Finance and Audit Committee recommends to keep it at $300 for the next year.
That requires no second. Any discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries.
Selection of independent auditor. At the July meeting, council voted to pay Bernard Robinson. We had to appoint somebody in particular, that means McGee as the principal assigned to the audit, and Brandon Cawthorn was placing Mr. McGee in charge. After execution of the letter, Mr. McGee was Cawthorn left that firm, so we are asking to do a revised engagement letter for Tina Smith, the principal being assigned to the audit. That is a recommendation of finance and audit.
Requires no second. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Are you fine with your hard copy?
Yes.
Sorry.
Fund Security Fund Board of Trustees recommends there be no CFS assessment in 2025, that recommendation and the explanation are set forth in the materials. We, as the Finance and Audit Committee, move to recommend council the transmission to the Supreme Court, ultimately approves the recommendation of no Fund Security Fund assessment in year 2025.
That requires no second. Any comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
None. Vote fire. Yes.
All right, moving on to item 2.5.
Money purchase plan is appointment of a new trustee and identification of that new trustee. Matt Buller resigned as trustee effective upon the appointment of his successor, Stephen Capping. And amendments to the plan appointing Peter as the new trustee and adopting the resolution with the sheriff. It is the Motion of the committee to recommend to the council the adoption of that resolution approving the strategic plan amendment number 1-2024, thereby appointing Peter as the new trustee. That's the motion.
Does not require a second. Any comments or discussion?
Can we question Peter or something? Yes. Okay.
I'm questioning myself.
We'll get to the next item.
All in favor?
Aye. Well, we're also gonna indemnify him because we're gonna recommend that, so we indemnify the Oklahoma State trustee. That's gonna be more of a blanket resolution. Copy that 2021 resolution, that be material, and that applies to the newly appointed trustee and to any other subsequently appointed trustee appointed by council. As a motion of the committee.
No second is required. Any further discussion, comments? All in favor? Opposed? That passes.
Next item is the amendment to the building use agreement, city materials. We're making certain amendments to the policy. The most significant is that the building being used during non-business hours, including weekends, that state or executive director may issue a personnel call for having somebody in the building. Recommendation of findings and audit is in materials. We would ask for approval of that building use agreement.
Does not require a second. Any discussions or further comments? All in favor? Opposed? That passes.
Mr. President, I would ask, that we refrain from item 2.7 until we get closer to the DSA, so we can do everything in one closed session.
All right, we'll take that item out of order at the appropriate time. Shall now turn, is that the last? Yes. We shall now turn to the, Appointments Advisory Committee report that is also chaired by Mr. Smith, and so I'll turn it forward to you, Matt.
Thank you. First one is Board of CLA Board. The Appointments Advisory Committee recommends to the council the following: reappoint David Cole for a 3-year term, appoint Ike Philbeck to a 3-year term, and appoint Rachel Beard to a 3-year term. Motion of the committee.
Making that motion as a group, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Any objection to considering those as a group? I does not require a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes.
CLE Board, we also appoint the chair and the vice chair. Adrian Blocker is the current chair. Judge Ashley Parker is the current vice chair. It is the recommendation of the committee that we appoint Judge Parker to a 1-year term as chair and appoint Paul Capua to a 1-year term as vice chair. I ask that that be taken collectively.
You've heard the motion, that requires a second. Any discussion, comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Next to the Board of Law Examiner, there are 3 appointments to be made. Ron Baker and Ron Gibson, collectively known as an outstanding tag team, the Fighting Rons. And Calvin E. Murphy are eligible for reappointment. It's the motion of the committee to reappoint Ron Baker, Calvin Murphy, and Ron Gibson each to 3-year terms. As that be taken collectively.
That is the motion of the committee. Does not require a second. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Next is Appliance Security Fund Board, 5-year term. Amy Richardson is not eligible for reappointment, and the recommendation of the committee, the council to appoint some fellow by the name of Ruth Edmondson to a 3-year term. That's the motion of the committee.
Does not require a second. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That passes.
We also appoint chair and vice chair, and the recommendation of that is appoint Erica Jones to a 1-year as chair and Paul Capua 1 year as vice chair. That's the recommendation of the committee.
The recommendation be considered in joint.
Correct.
No second is required. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes.
Next is the Board of Paralegal Certification. Scott, you might want to recuse yourself at this point.
Please note my recusal, Mr. President.
There are 2 appointments to be made. Scott Hart, lawyer member, and S.N. Hodges, the paralegal member, are eligible as a recommendation of the committee that we reappoint Scott and reappoint S.N. Hodges. That 3-year terms as that be taken collectively.
No No second is required. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Same is true with chair and vice chair, the appointments advisory committee recommends that Benita Powell be appointed as chair for 1 year term, and Precious Divine Harris for 1 year term as vice chair. That's that be for the taking question.
No second is required. Any comments, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
On the board, one appointment to be made at the July 24 meeting, Heather Cole was appointed to serve a 1 year term as vice chair. She subsequently declined that appointment. Another board member must be appointed to serve as vice chair effective immediately August 30, 2025. Recommend to council that we appoint Judge John Arrowood to serve as vice chair effective immediately through August 31, 2025.
Motion, then need a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That passes. You heard that concludes your presentation, Mr. Smith. Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of the meeting dates for council in 2025. That is the officers, and so I would like the motion to recommend to the council the approval of the meeting dates and locations 2025.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we shall proceed to several amendments, publication and adoption, all sorts of rule amendments that Alice is, will get the right person in charge. We're on item number 5 of the agenda, and Alice, will you please walk us through that section for your designee?
Leonard Carmen, if you want to talk, I'd be glad to talk about procedurally where we are on this.
We'll probably do the where we are procedurally part better than I would, so yes. I would like that.
All right, so we have one new rule that's not in this article, that's coming from, the CLE board. And that is to give credit for some non-traditional program activities. These are some in-house counsel activities. Requires there to be an outside person outside the firm that come and present these, but it allows them to be in-house, and that would be for publication.
All right, the chair will call for a motion to recommend to the council for publication of those rule amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. Alice.
So the next set of rules, and these are also for publication, these are revisions of the proposed rules that we published following the July meeting in order to implement the requirements of the legislation for the disciplinary process. Carmen's got to figure out.
Actually, I believe the next two on the agenda regarding the DHC chair power, those were not previously published.
Yeah, that's correct. I missed that.
Carmen, you want to take?
Yeah, this was an oversight, was the realization after the July meeting that we need to make sure that it was clear in the rules that the DHC chair has certain authority to handle these declarations that somebody's a vexatious complaint and to take some actions relative to the expungement process. So there's 2 actions here. The first one is that we publish this rule amendment comment. So that would be your first motion. And then the second is because of the timing in the legislation was a little odd. We actually have to start this expungement process like today. So you need to do 2 things. I think at this point you just need to do the one thing, which is to authorize the DHC chair to utilize these powers that are set forth in this proposed rule in this interim period before we complete our rule adoption process.
Clarity, we'll take 5.2, and the chair calls for a motion to recommend to the council the publication of the proposed rule amendments in 5.2. So Does not require a second.
It does require.
Okay, second, any further discussion? All in favor of 5.2? That's approved. And 5.3, the chair calls for a motion to recommend to the council the temporary authorization of the DHC chair to exercise the power set forth in the proposed amendments to the disciplinary rules. On 108, A8, A9, and A10 as set forth in 5.3. That is the motion. Do I have a second for that? Okay, second. Any further discussion, clarification, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to item 6, Alice Wallace.
Okay, this is what I started on and Herman caught me. So we did publish a number of disciplinary rules in order to implement the legislation. Herman very astutely thought we ought to look into how the criminal statutes work for expunction, because they've been through it. And she found that there were a number of things that make sure that the process is fair, but also it is handled appropriately. And so she went back and has proposed amendments to, or revisions to this new rule 0136. So those will need to be republished, again, for comment this quarter. And the same is true with 0113 in terms of making sure that that procedure for folks appearing before the subcommittees and producing records and various things are handled in a way that makes administrative sense. And so those proposed amendments, those need to be published for comment.
Respect to the agenda item 6.1. First, the chair calls for a motion to recommend to council the publication of the revised proposed rule amendments that the house just described. Does not require a second. Any
It
Or
doesn't
any
require a
discussion? Just assuming the first second. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, so this is that same rule, and it's like what we just did, because of the timing, we have to have this expunction process in place. There's two things that I think you need to do. You need to retract the temporary rule that you adopted at the July meeting.
Which is only effective today,
Yeah,
so, right.
it's just the motion to retract that. And then it's replaced by this rule 0.0136 as revised. And that you're authorizing them to operate under that revised rule in this interim period until we complete our rulemaking process.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I have a fact sheet all prepared on this, but I'm waiting to know what rule will be in place tomorrow. So hopefully it will be this.
And now we're at item 6.2 of the agenda, and the chair calls for a motion to recommend to the council the retraction of the temporary rule 0.0136 approved at the council meeting in July 1924, and the adoption of the revised rule 0.0136 as a temporary rule.
I would like to second that motion, Mr.
That
President.
requires a second, and so, it has been seconded.
Was there a motion? I move. There was
Any further comments, discussion? All in favor?
That's the problem.
Okay. Item 7 on the agenda. I will continue walking us through this, which is a great job.
Come on.
Yes, that's true.
So we did publish a number of things for comment after the July meeting. And those items are in 7.1, rule 0.0181, .0112, .0137. Those are all discipline rules. 0.0137 is the vexatious complaint rule. I don't believe we've received any comment on any of those. And so the recommendation here is to adopt them and then transmit them to the Supreme Court for its.
The chair will call for a motion to recommend to the council the adoption of the proposed rule amendment for transmission to the Supreme Court for its approval.
So
Another for a second.
So moved. Second. See, now we got there.
All, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Alice?
The last item was also rules that we published for comment after the July meeting. These were to the standards for certification as a specialist and integration. It changes the CLE requirements. They've been published, received no negative comments, so the next step would be to approve them for transmission to the Supreme Court for final adoption.
Call for a motion to recommend to the council adoption of the proposed revised rules of transmission to the Supreme Court for its approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Item number 8. Alice?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Peter, you want to.
Number 8.
Yep, sure. The Board of Law Examiners reached out to us late this summer, seeking assistance getting their rules into the administrative code. The rules governing the admission practice have never been in the administrative code. The state bar's rules were added to the administrative code in the 90s, but for whatever reason, at that time, they did not add the Board of Law Examiners group. So, working to try to fix this, a known issue that I think all parties agree that the rules should be in the administrative code and that they should be in the state bar's title of the administrative code as a third chapter. Right now, we have the state bar's administrative rules. We have the rules of professional conduct. Chapter 3 would be rules governing admission to the practice of law under that same title in the code. We met with OAH with the codifier of rules and worked out and proposed a plan to where the state bar would readopt the rules governing admission, the Board of Law Examiners rules as written with no changes other than formatting for OAH's formatting requirements. Those would be submitted to the Supreme Court, not needing publication since there were no changes to the rules, and re-entered onto the Supreme Court minutes, submitted over to the codified rules for admission into the administrative code. We're working with the codified rules at OAH to make sure that there's no additional hurdles to climb, and whether that requires us to bring in some influence from the legislature. We'll see. I'm optimistic with the last set of communications I received from the legislature that they support just getting this into the code as quickly as possible. So that's what we are proposing to do today for the bar, is to readopt these rules so it can go through the next step of the process to the Supreme Court and on to OAH.
The chair calls for a motion to recommend to the council approval of the codification of the NCBLE for law examining rules in Title 27 of the North Carolina Administrative Code for transmission to the NC Supreme Court for its approval and entry of the codified NC Bar Board of Law Examining rules into its minutes. That is the motion that I call for.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or observations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. All right, we're now down to the reports of the various committees, and then we'll start with the litigation report. Carmen, what is yours?
Litigation report is in your materials, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Carmen.
You are welcome.
Legislative liaison report, Mr. Bullock. All yours.
The legislature's been, out and about running for office, so there's not a lot to report since the last meeting, and I will leave it at that.
Any questions of Mr. Bullock? Thank you, Peter, very much. Report of the Issues Committee. Marcy, what's yours?
The minute of the issue committee meeting held July 17, 2024, and materials and the motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
I probably did that. That's second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Martin. Pete, you have that, and Alice, you have that.
We're good.
Report of the Access to Justice Committee, Vice President Fry. Few hours. Floor is yours.
Hopefully all were able to attend the panel that occurred, yesterday, I think. We messed up yesterday. It was excellent to hear what was going on and how the various legal aids, PISCA, the Bar Foundation, Young Warriors were all working together. And if you were not able to attend, there was an excellent one-page sort of infographic that, I would encourage you to make copies, disperse, if you send out a newsletter, please send this out to everyone. It's their, emphasis was that the help is going to be needed for years. And you can do things that probably may not even take you an hour, and they're very helpful. So I would encourage all of you who are there to look at that. And other than that, it was, sad but great that all of them were teaming together and working collectively to get the news in that area. And there is no report, no action items from the committee.
Thank you, Catherine. Any questions, observations for Catherine? Great, thank you. All right, moving right along, before the authorized practice committee, Bobby was out here.
Thank you. The authorized practice committee met yesterday morning at the highly reasonable hour of 11 a.m. We received the registered prepaid plan report. There were two this quarter. We considered 14 complaints. We issued 7 letters of caution, dismissed 4 files, took no immediate action on 1. And I do have 2 items, 2 recommendations that are going to require the approval of this body because the authorized practice committee recommends seeking an injunction against 2 individuals. They're separate matters with similar themes. The first person that we recommend seeking an injunction against is her name is Norca Beatrice Crow, and she holds herself out as an immigration paralegal. And she's actually doing real harm to the public. She's not a lawyer. She's not got the accreditation to do immigration work in the absence of being a licensed attorney. There is a witness represented by our own counsel in our own matters who's willing to cooperate and assist on the factual end. So it's the recommendation of the AP committee to seek an injunction against Norca Beatrice Crow.
And your first item,
Yes.
let's, not leave that motion before the second coming from the committee. That's fine. Any discussions, observations, questions about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. The second item is the person, the respondent is Berdina Wright. She holds herself out as a bankruptcy paralegal. She is a serial violator. There's 1 gatekeeper order already in place issued by the bankruptcy court from the Eastern District of North Carolina. The Middle District is tried with the service process practical issues. the committee discussed the need for a statewide prohibition on the actual harm that this person has been causing to the public. And it's our recommendation to seek an injunction against Verdita Wright.
Seconded, are any questions, observations of Bob?
We just asked if Bob would be required to sign the plan before he retires. No, from the committee.
Just so the please ready by January 2.
No sooner.
That is the motion of the authorized practice committee. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? That carries.
And that's our, Mr. President.
Thank you. Communications committee, Anna?
Yes, sir.
Go for it.
Thank you. Well, now as far as two very capable new employees, like Bill and Ashley, who are doing a lot of work in the social media world. They gave a presentation that was told about our analytics and, social media, a little bit of an update on the website, which moving along, we hit a bit of snag, I think with some licensing issues between the bar, wasn't the bar solved at all, but anyway, that seems to have been fixed, so that's moving forward, website that is. And then the committee, we have presentations and publications, and it kind of devolved into existential crisis for communications on it. We don't know if we should still exist, because with these new employees, and I think the work that publications does, we don't need to overlap and that kind of thing. So I think publications by itself is great, but it's publications only, and this committee is kind of everything around that publication that is outwardly facing to the public, maybe how we express communication. So maybe they need to merge, maybe they need to rename themselves or something. So that's for the future bar to decide, but right now, you know, Bill and Ashley obviously doing great jobs and no action.
Do you have any comments you want to make in connection?
It will probably be problem for the issues you mentioned. Particularly Mr. Brown, to review the communication, publications, situation, see what we do with that. Gotta give it some.
Not have enough additions. Thank you, Anna, for that report. Ethics Committee, Judge Mitchell.
Thank
all
you,
yours.
sir, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Ethics committee met early this morning at 9 o'clock. Everybody seemed to be super excited about 9 today. But at 9 o'clock, we had great discussion as always. We had 8 items that were considered today. We have one opinion that will be published by our committee this quarter, that all of the materials will be included tomorrow. And that is proposed 2024 FDO 3, which is the agreement requiring payment of the state planning lawyer's future legal fees. Then we have one action item for adoption by the council tomorrow, which will be proposed 2024 FDO 1, use of AI in the law practice.
Thank you, Judge. Any questions, comments for judgment? Because for really anything to be tomorrow, you take care. If you need anything to say, take care of it tomorrow. That's right. Good. I think that concludes all our reports except for the state service, and also the one we deferred earlier, the session of the record severance agreement. Matt, do you have
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. President, to go into closed session for 2 purposes, and this will be pursuant to NCG at 143-3KT. Point 1182, preventing the premature disclosure of non-rated degree scholarship prize or other similar award. That is for DSA and NCG is 143-3KT11A6. Do you consider condition of additional employment of an individual in public office? That is my motion. For my motion.
I guess second. Okay, we move in second, any discussions, all in favor? Most first, you're.
Finance and Audit moves to recommend the chancellor to approve the execution of the executive director severance agreement discussed in closed session.
That was not a requirement, second, right, that was coming from the committee. Any, so this question, you have a recommendation, comment, knowledge?
Second.
Second.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Third.
I got lost.
It was not required, second.
Just.
Any comments, questions on that motion? All in favor? Warren.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Distinguished Service Award Committee, I move that the Executive Committee approve the nominations for discussed in closed session to be presented to the full council tomorrow for the award of the John B. McMillan Distinguished Service Award, candidate A, B, and C, subject to our standard due diligence checks.
That motion is unsuspended. It does not require a second coming from the committee.
Correct.
Any questions on Warren? All in favor? Opposed? That passes. Is there any further business coming before the committee? I want to recognize Matt for special purposes. Matt.
As y'all know, this is Allison's last executive committee. And so I'm gonna guess you sitting to my right, telling me when the second is not. I haven't known an executive committee without you. So. Peter ain't gonna be the same. So, a round of applause for Allison.
Alice? Let's say a few words.
Oh, I've just been really fortunate. I've had a pretty good job. They've been in that room. It's, I have trouble making it across the room because I know so many of the lawyers. They know me. A lot of times they know me because I've talked to them on the phone and I've never met them before, but they want to say something to me. And, it's just so gratifying. I just can't tell you. It's, I have, I lucked into a job and a career that I was well suited for, and that was really deeply meaningful, and gave me an opportunity, all you, and I truly believe that the best lawyers in the state serve on the state bar council. There's other great lawyers too that never serve on the council, but the ones who are on the council are just great lawyers and they're great human beings. And as I said, I really feel very blessed. So, thank you, I'm honored, but truly, I'm the one who should be applauding all of you for giving me this. Thank you.
Having no further business, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.